Welcome back, everyone. This is the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage channel here on YouTube. Whether you are a new visitor, maybe you're here for the first time and you came across this channel, or maybe you've been watching the channel for many years and maybe you've commented, or maybe you've just been a lurker. Either way, it's all good. I appreciate you coming to the channel here to watch me show something that people often ask about and I don't always remember to talk about. Not that there's any lack of talking on this channel, but I wanted to show this to you, this little area here. And before I go further, if you are new to my channel, or if you're not, maybe you've been watching for years, my channel is not, right now it's not commercialized, and the only support I get is through Buy Me a Coffee, and I have to pay for 99% of the machines that I get to try to rescue. People want something for their machines. Sometimes they want more than I think they should because they think their machines are ready to work, and they're not. They don't understand the idea of maintenance. But anyway, any of the videos on this channel, including the homepage, there is a link to Buy Me a Coffee. It takes you to my Buy Me a Coffee page, which looks just like my home channel. You'll recognize it immediately. And if you feel that my efforts have helped you, or you would like to support the channel, you think it deserves support, please consider donating at whatever level you like. And it will be very much appreciated and help my efforts to get more of these machines rescued, because a lot of people today, they don't even know that a consumer product is repairable or serviceable, because we have an entire generation or two now that have lived through an era where you buy something and when it breaks, you throw it away. And that was a very different, they had a different mindset back in the day. No, you paid more for something, you kept it, you maintained it, or you had it serviced. And that is what has brought me to this hobby. It's what got me to the hobby all those years ago. And it's why I'm still here talking about these machines. So, I think I had another video once, and I had serviced a machine, but did not talk about this little box. The little black box down here usually has a cover on it. Should have a cover. And what is in there? What is behind the box? Well, we're going to see. We're going to look at it right now. So again, I'm going to turn, and I'm not surprised that these bolts, unlike the rest of this machine, turn easily because maybe they have, I don't know if the grease goes into this area or not. I can't tell. Anyway, remember, there's a reason other than catching the dribbling of the penetrant oils I'm using to wake this machine up. It is fast asleep. Haven't had one this sleepy in a long time. But terry cloth towels are very useful at catching things when you drop them. Unless it's me. I have a particular gift for dropping things on the floor. I should get an award for the number of things I have dropped on the floor. I don't think such an award exists, but some of you would agree that I'm right up there with the best of them. Okay, so I'm going to take these out, and I love terry cloth because it's good at grabbing things. It's not perfect, but it's like, if you were to take a baseball and roll it on pavement, it goes a lot further than when you roll it in the grass. So I think of this is like my little grass. I'm trying to get it to catch things before they go wandering onto the floor, and God forbid they go into a place I can't get them anymore, like an HVAC register in the floor. Yes, it can happen. All right, now this bolt is acting weird. Okay, is it turning? Okay. I thought I was turning it, and I wasn't. Sometimes you have to give a little more grunt on some of these, because if you turn and you keep turning and it's not, you'll strip the screw, and if you've ever done that, that's not a fun time. All right. Are you ready, guys? You are going to see either nothing or a big blob. So let's see what we got. Woo! And there went the seal. And sure. Oh. Well, this is the first sign, literally the very first example that I have seen on this machine where they did some cost cutting. The seal here is, by the way, is still good. We're gonna keep that. We'll reuse that. So You see grease. It's not a massive blob. I'm going to get the cam down here. Now, I'm going to put the flashlight here. And the one thing that is moving on this machine, sort of, is the needle bar will move when I turn the drive shaft of the machine, which is where the hand wheel would be. So I'm going to grab it and turn. Now, actually, if you first see this, you might, if you see yours, if you have a machine like this and the gear just ends, don't panic. You may think, oh no, it's broken, it's not going to work. Actually, this one is designed to have a half a wheel of gear teeth. Why? Because it's an oscillating machine. If this was a machine that has a rotary hook, this machine would be done for, or we'd have to replace this in some way. Okay, so watch. You see the teeth, and what's happening is it is interacting with the teeth on this gear, right, which is made of steel. But no, they decided to cheat. Oh yeah. This is the beginning of, the manufacturer says we can only sell it at a certain price. Therefore, we need you to get the cost down. And we know what happens, right? It starts slowly, and over time, it took a few generations for all the consumer products, the vast majority of them, basically to go to disposable crap, and that's what they are. Sorry, that's if you believe that disposable products are if they make you happy, that's fine, but I'm not of that mindset. Okay, so what am I looking at? This is an oscillating hook, which is the vast majority of, well, look, I'm getting some movement here of the pieces of the machine. The vast majority of vintage sewing machines made in Japan have oscillating hooks, and they use the Class 15 bobbin and bobbin case design that Singer originally invented. Okay, so what am I trying to inspect here? We're going to turn the machine, always remembering I've got a motor over here. I don't want to lose that motor. Thank you. All right. Now, why am I turning this? What you want to do is, if you have one of these, if you have a plastic gear of any kind, I'll lower the camera just a bit more. What you really want to assess with any plastic piece, including especially gears, is to see if the gear is still intact. Is it missing a piece? Does it have any cracks in it? Because if it does, you're going to have to replace it, or you're going to have to salvage the machine. Now, I'm taking my flashlight and I'm looking and I'm crossing my fingers. I'm like, oh, I really hope this machine is not plastic. That the gear, it's actually a gear that slips onto the shaft here. You can see where the bolt is, where it attaches. And every part of this that I can see, right, because it comes up so far, and everything that I see here shows that it is, I don't see any cracks. So what I'm going to guess is that this machine and its gear are still good. Now, this is an even more important reason to make sure that if you have a machine that is sleepy, that is stiff, that does not want to move, as I've explained that this one is, and I've shown this in the last several videos I've made of this machine. This is the Simpsons 1966-68 version of a department store sewing machine made in Japan. For those of you maybe who haven't seen the other videos yet, please go back and look at those. You may find them helpful. So this is an example. If parts of this machine were bound up and you forced it, well, in that case, if you're going to force something, you might want to, I would rather it be steel than plastic, right? And especially we have plastic and steel together. Now they play well together, and that's all well and fine. We want to make sure before this machine ever runs. Remember, I haven't plugged this machine in and have tested it. I just don't bother because I don't want to cause harm to the machine. I want to let it wake up first, and then we'll get it to run, right? Literally run. So what will I be doing? I can remove this grease. The grease is not as bad as I thought it would be, in that The grease has not really, I can't tell that it's separated. When I say separated, grease is oil with a solid. It has a solid mixed into it, which is why it's thick. And as it ages, it can start to separate, and then it gets really oily and oozy. But I don't see that here. Not seeing that at all. So that's a good thing. Well, whew, dodged a bullet there, guys, because that could really have been, unless I could find a replacement for that gear, and I'm very skeptical that I could, this machine would be toast. It would not work. And we know that as we move forward in time, they did this more and more to sewing machines and consumer products in general, right? So I would have expected, sometimes you see plastic in gears in the top of the machine, but I've taken my magnet into the mechanism of the machine up top, and everything is apparently steel, which made me happy. I thought, oh, this is great, because unlike the 40s and early 50s, when Japanese machines literally are all steel and cast iron, but even they were asked first, the American, Canadian manufacturing of sewing machines, they said, you got to get the price down, and they did it by cheapening the product. The Europeans did the same thing, European sewing machine makers, and then eventually the Japanese were told to do it too, because this could have been steel. And I've shown you all the glorious gears of the Singer 201, for example, the 301, the featherweight. They all have wonderful, this is the differential, by the way. You have gears on two different planes, right? You have the vertical, the horizontal, and that they connect to transfer power from one direction to another. But, those Singers and many other machines, when they had gears like this, they were steel. And the gears in the top part of this machine, they are steel. I would have, like I say, it's common to see plastic eventually, but down here, really? Well, I still think it's worth it. What do you guys think? I've talked to you in the past about what I call hybrid machines, and I don't really see those until we get into the mid 70s and into the early 80s, where you have a lot of metal sewing machine parts, but then they start adding more and more plastic parts. Plastic is one thing when it's on the cover or a side panel, little cover door, but when you start putting plastic into the drivetrain and to the gears themselves, wow. Well, all I can tell you is I'm surprised that this machine's gear is still okay. And this is another reason why you never want to store any sewing machine in an attic space that's really hot. It really does a number, and it just really rapidly ages your wiring. And if you have plastic next to steel, they don't expand and contract at the same rate. So I don't know how this little gear has survived, guys, but it has. So I'll be removing this grease, and I'll be putting in some more. Sometimes when you open these up, they have packed it, the whole thing, full of grease, which is pretty common. Here, they simply added it. I'm not really sure that you need to pack it, and I say this because when gears have grease in them and they're moving, they will typically kind of push excess grease kind of to the side, so that excess grease doesn't really, it's not like it's getting recycled. There's no pump in there. So I don't know that filling the whole compartment is useful. It doesn't seem to have hurt anything here. But anyway, we'll address that in a different video. But I wanted you to see that because I know some of you are wondering, I wonder what's behind that door. What's behind that secret door? And this door is steel, but your gasket is, I'm not sure what the gasket's made of, but you want to treat it nicely. And this one came off. If your gasket doesn't come off, let's say you have one. If you have a gasket, you take the plate off, you've got your screws out, but if the gasket stays on the machine but is working, I would highly recommend leaving it on there. Don't pull it off unless this one came right off. It was a happy gasket, came right off right there, no big deal. But if yours doesn't, if you tear that gasket, getting a replacement is going to be more difficult. Now you can put the plate on without the gasket, but you got to make sure that your grease is not separated, and I wouldn't fill the whole thing with grease because the grease can eventually come out. But that gasket fell off. But if yours is on there and it's working, it's sealing, but it hasn't. The gasket, if you have a gasket that has not failed, but it is bound to the machine for whatever reason, it's stuck on there, I would leave the gasket on because it's not your way when you're servicing the gears, and then you simply put your plate back. That I would definitely recycle and reuse those, unless the gasket is just not. If it comes apart in pieces when you take the plate off, then you may have to use the plate without a gasket potentially. But anyway, that is the least of our problems with this very sleepy machine. It has been hibernating a long time. You just never know, right? I always see steel in these little compartments. Pretty sure. And seeing the plastic there, well, they even predicted that, hey, if the plastic ever breaks, we can replace it, because there's a bolt there to remove it. But I don't know if replacements are available these days, folks. I think that plastic gear or gear cover sheath, whatever it is, I think they are unobtainium, to coin a phrase or make one up. So I appreciate all of you watching as I work to wake up a machine. I've never seen one of these machines before, but we're going to thankfully keep going, because that gear appears to in every way and angle I can see, the gear is fine. It just needs new grease. That tells me, okay, carry on, keep forward. We're going to wake this machine up and see what it can do, and hopefully bring it back to life and get it ready for a new life or two of sewing in the hands of someone who can really put it to great use. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.